This is part 2 of our first episode. Who would have thought that our first episode would need to be broken up into 2 parts? If you haven't listened to it yet, check out the first episode and then come back here. I'll wait for you. All right, that should be enough time. I didn't pause because you can just click away and then come back when you're ready. That's on you. I take no responsibility. Now back to our original programming.
You have rolled a critical failure. You open the vault door and are met by 2 nerds sitting at a table about to start a podcast.
2 hosts, 1 vault, and an endless supply of geeky goodness. This is the Nerd Vault. Roll for initiative. Staying with God of War, so a lot of games now are getting TV show adaptations. Look at The Last of Us.
Or movies.
Look at all movies. Yeah, The Last of Us, Fallout, The Witcher. There's heaps.
Yep. Not Enchanted. Uncharted.
Uncharted.
Is the word that I was trying to.
Yes, the Enchanted Uncharted.
Speaking of Tom Holland.
Yeah. But God of War is also getting a TV adaptation, which is interesting. They are completely starting from scratch now. They had a team on there, producers, showrunners, all of that, and they've gone, nope, we're going to start again. Now, I don't know if you're going to recognize this name, but Ronald D. Moore is now on board as the new showrunner. And if you don't...
Why does it sound familiar?
There's a little thing that he did called Battlestar Galactica.
Ah.
Yes, he was the showrunner on that. And he was the showrunner on Outlander and also For All Mankind. So he's been around a bit. He knows what he's doing. He's not fresh. I hope that it's good. I hope they do it justice. I hope they don't fuck it up.
It can only be good or awful. It can't be anywhere in between.
And that's what annoys me. It's got to go one end of the spectrum. You are the casting director. Who are you looking at to play Kratos?
Not Jason Momoa. I like the guy. He was great in Stargate Atlantis, playing the one-dimensional character of Ronan.
Mm.
And he was great in Game of Thrones as the, brutish barbarian leader or whatever. I only watched the first season or 2.
Yeah.
And gave up on the books because they were boring. That's a potentially controversial take. And then there's Aquaman, where he's just playing that same kind of character again.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jason Momoa can bring the depth necessary to play the character of Kratos in that era. I think he'd do... Years ago, he would have done young Kratos. Great.
Yeah. I have a couple of potential candidates that I would choose from. First and foremost, at the top of the list, 100% without a shadow of doubt, Christopher Judge. He is the current voice actor.
If he's interested in the role,
yeah,
he did the voice acting, and we know that he has that level of pathos and that level of depth to his acting already. Yeah. And he obviously will know the character extremely well. He's a natural choice.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the physicality. He's absolutely jacked already, which you need for Kratos. I honestly, I think if they don't get him, then it's going... I don't know how well it will do.
It is a very physical role, and Christopher Judge is 60 years old. So I don't know how realistic that is as a pick.
Look, at the end of the day, he doesn't look 60. I honestly, if you had have told me he's 40 years old, I would have believed you 100%.
Yeah,
he does not look 60. Some other people that would be interesting. I think a lot of it goes on to the aesthetics more than their acting prowess or anything like that. I think who would look good would be Triple H from the WWE.
Oh, if you reckon? He would look the part.
How much does he look like Kratos? That's it.
He's also an old man.
He is, but he also has a fighting background. He was a professional wrestler, so I think he would. The action scenes would look really good.
Can he act?
No idea. But the fights would look
not.
good. He probably can't. Jared Butler, potentially. He was really good in 300.
Jared Butler.
Yeah. Potentially. That one's... We're starting to go down the list now.
Yes. Yes. I think Gerard Butler would... Yeah. Can't really lose that Scottish accent, though. So, could be a bit weird.
Yeah. I don't know who else you could get, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's a hard call to make. There might be someone who's a bit less known, who's in like their 30s, 40s, who could pull off that like weary old man.
Yeah.
And give it depth and do the physicality of the role of the action.
Did you ever watch Prison Break?
Watch what now?
Prison Break back in the day.
Yeah, I think I watched a bit of the first season.
Yeah, Dominic Purcell could do it. Again, he's older, but he played like the main dude's brother that got locked up, the big dude. That could he could potentially do it, but again, quite old. Don't know how he'd go with the physicality of it.
Yeah, and like acting ability, potentially not up there.
Or they go down a completely different route and they do not get an A-lister.
Yeah.
I think...
Which I think would make sense.
Yeah, I think they need the A-lister there as a name to go, as a draw card to go, look, everyone who doesn't really want to play the game, this person is in this show, come and watch it.
I think if Game of Thrones proves anything, or the success of The Witcher shows anything, although obviously the Witcher had
that's Henry Cavill, like that's
Henry Cavill.
that is such an A-lister name.
That aside, I think if you have enough violence and boobs in your movie, people will go and watch it. In your TV show, people will go and watch it.
100%. Most definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. Everyone's there.
Sprinkling a bit of decent acting, you've got yourself a good recipe.
Yeah. Now, let's move away from all of that. Something that I have avoided like the plague. I think you have it. YouTube Premium.
I have the disease of paying for YouTube Premium, yes. I have had it for a very long time. At least 6 years, I think, or 7 years.
That is a very long time.
The primary reason why I got it is because of the convenience of being able to download videos on the YouTube app and play them back offline. Because back in the dark days before the pandemic, I was flying interstate for work every second or third week. So I would just download episodes of Critical Role and know that I'd be set for hours to entertain myself while I was away. And I've kept it this whole time, again, simply for convenience. I've got the YouTube app set up on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 separate devices, 8 separate devices, 9 separate devices, all using the same account, so I don't get ads on any of them.
Wow, that's a lot of devices.
And it, like, YouTube is my primary form of media that I consume. So, again, happy to pay for it for that ad-free experience and the convenience of it.
I watch a lot of YouTube as well. However, I also use good old faithful ad blocker.
Yeah.
Because I'm not paying for it. At the end of the day, no, I'm not going to pay for it. There was a lot of shit about ad blockers getting, like, YouTube just finding them and then go, oh, you're using an ad blocker and you're finished. But then the ad blockers would update and then they get around it and then YouTube would go, all right. And it was a lot of back and forth for a while that I noticed. And this is when I was using Firefox. Now I have switched over and I'm not using Firefox, I'm using Chrome. I'm using a completely different browser and I have an ad blocker installed. And so far, knock on wood, I have not had to deal with ads. The closest I've gotten is when the computer's kind of glitched out and then I reopen and open YouTube and it's like, oh, here's this ad, but nothing plays. And then it goes, all right, and here's your video. And then it goes through, which I think is fantastic. And I love that I'm back to using an ad blocker and I've been using it for quite a while now with no issues, which is great.
Yeah. And to be clear, like, both of us are huge fans of lots of independent creators that get their income through those kinds of ads and things like that. And, you know, if we had the option, we would make sure that they got that money some other way. But when it comes to ads on any platform, whether we're talking about YouTube and in this particular topic, their new premium light version, which has just slightly less ads, which seems insane to me. And talking about Spotify, you know, they've now pulled back a bit and your subscription only gets you music ad-free, and a Spotify premium subscription is so expensive. But if you want to listen to an audiobook, it costs, I think, $18 per 10 hours of audiobook that you listen to. And if you listen to podcasts, a lot of the podcasts now have ads that Spotify insert. Not the ads that the creators of the podcast have recorded and uploaded as part of their episode, as part of a sponsorship, but actually Spotify inserting ads that Spotify is getting paid to run.
Yeah, I have
and then you have Amazon Prime introducing their new ad-free tier for an extra $3 a month. You can now have ad-free. Whereas your old subscription that you were paying happily for potentially years, some people had, you know, their sort of guaranteed subscription level, and they'd been using it since Amazon Prime came out, and they are actually switching off Amazon Prime now because it's such a turnoff to get ads. And I think this, you know, the term is enshittification, but this enshittification of all of these different streaming services is really interesting to see, because it used to be free-to-air TV, or at least in Australia, free-to-air TV, you just lived with the ads, right?
Yeah.
Then a lot of people started getting Foxtel, which is our version of cable. It was basically your only option for cable here.
That was for the rich people.
That was for the rich people. And again, that had no ads. And then very quickly, it started to have ads for Foxtel content in it. And now it just has ads. I follow the Formula One and KO, a subscription to KO, which is the streaming service that has exclusive rights to the Formula One and a bunch of other sports here in Australia. Thanks, Rupert Murdoch. That is like $30 a month.
Jeez.
And it has ads.
That's wild.
Like, it's so expensive to watch like one race every 2 weeks average. And then that's it. You pay your $30 because they've got exclusive rights. You get the UK Sky Sports broadcast. You don't get any of the fancy bells and whistles that F1 TV would give you, where you can view individual drivers on board cameras and listen on their radios and all that cool stuff. No, $30 a month. You get your one race every 2 weeks on average through the year. Just shut up and pay the bill. All of these services are now going down that path again of running ads, even though you're paying out the arse for them.
Yeah, which I think that's stupid. If you're paying for something, you should be able to get it ad-free because you are, handing over your money.
The crazy thing is...
Fuck the ads off. You're already getting my money.
Absolutely. And then, you've got NetSuite and... not NetSuite, Netflix and Disney Plus cracking down on people's screen sharing and all of these things as well. And the crazy thing is, it's not affecting their bottom line.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane to me. The fact when Netflix did their different tiers, I saw all over the internet, everyone was just ranting and raving, oh, that's it, Netflix are done, I'm leaving, I'm never going to come back again, I'm going to go elsewhere, you've lost my money. So many people were saying that, and this is going to be the downfall of Netflix. And then you see them 3 months later like, oh, we've turned even more profit, we've made even more money, thank you.
So, I turned off Netflix myself. Cancelled my Chaos subscription the last time that they put it up, and I now sail the high seas for my Formula One content. But I did fork out for the Amazon Prime ad-free tier because my wife and I use that decent amount, and still feels like okay value. Disney Plus, I don't think we've really used it, so I might even cancel that when that comes up for its next renewal, because I paid the annual subscription to save some money and hardly used it. But I wonder at what point it's not going to be sustainable, when people are going to turn around and start pirating again, and what is the next thing after streaming? What comes after that?
Pirating is already making a massive comeback. But now you've got streaming services that use these torrents. So then you're not paying for it. So instead of downloading the file onto your computer, you're just streaming it. And you go, yep, I'm going to watch it. And then it works just fine. For the most part, it works just fine. So I think already we are seeing pirating coming back into the forefront. And they're trying to crack down on it, and they go, oh, yep, this site is now shut down, and then they go, oh yeah, but we've got like 150 proxies that you can go fuck yourself. We're going to use those instead. So I don't think they're ever going to be able to properly shut down piracies.
Yeah,
I don't think it is. And this YouTube Lite thing, just so you can get slightly less ads, that really annoys me. I hate that.
Who's going to pay $12 a month for slightly less ads? Like, that just seems insane to me.
The problem is, and I've noticed this with quite a few YouTube videos, is if you put one ad at the start, and then you put one at the end, and potentially one in the middle, you have 3 ads. And if you've got that over, say, a half-hour video, I'm happy with that. That's not a problem. The problem with YouTube ads comes when you have more time watching ads than you do the actual content. And especially when you get these unskippables.
Yes, and some of those ads are not very curated at all by YouTube, it seems like, because there are scams, crypto scams, and literal viruses and all of these kinds of things ending up in YouTube ads as well.
And just content that's not appropriate for particular audiences.
Yeah.
As well. Like you get kids watching stuff and here's all of this provocative stuff or it's alcohol or it's like whatever it happens to be. It's not appropriate for that age group.
They penalize creators left, right, and center for having swearing in their videos or talking about previous world wars, talking about actual real history and just talking about the facts of what happened in World War I or World War II or what's happening in Ukraine, all of these different topics. Even when COVID was, at its peak, they were penalizing creators for talking about these subjects when they were really important to audiences, and yet they will let almost anything run in an ad without checking it properly. It's just crazy.
I watch a lot of the original, let's say, just going to say it for what it is, the pedophile hunter YouTube video channels, not the new ones that have come out where they're just like trying to glorify everything that they're doing and they're just going too far, like Vitali especially. Like he's been they're saying that he's staging everything and everyone's a paid actor. I'm watching the ones that have been around for years, but their videos get demonetized when they upload them. It's not through they've used copyrighted content or anything like that. It's because they use, this person was going to meet someone who was 14 years old. Here's a conversation they had with what they thought was a 14-year-old. And they go, you said she's 14? That's it. You're done.
Yeah.
Which I think that is absolutely ridiculous and stupid. That they're going after the bad guys here. And like the ones that I watch, they go, okay, cool. Now we're going to call the police. Police are here. He's now arrested. And this is what happened. So that's the good, what I consider to be the good one. They're not just going, let's just beat them up. They're actually going by the book, doing it lawfully, and YouTube are still penalizing them for what they're doing. Yeah. They'd rather support these people in the illegal activities that they are partaking in. And YouTube are on their side and not the side of people going, hey, you should not be on the streets anymore.
Yeah. And like this whole topic just comes back to money, doesn't it?
It's for sure. 100%. It's all about money. And I don't think YouTube's going anywhere. I think it's only going to keep growing, and it's nowhere near its peak.
It's to the point where no one could even compete with it anymore. It's like Boeing and Airbus. There's the odds of another plane manufacturer reaching the height of Airbus or Boeing anytime in the next 50 years is basically zero.
Yeah. Because
it's just too big and too complicated to reach that level. And YouTube's infrastructure, just the sheer size of YouTube and the amount of data they process, no competitor is ever going to be able to reach and match that level.
No.
So there's simply just, they have a monopoly by default.
I remember I checked out Vimeo probably a couple of years ago now, and it was marketed as an alternative to YouTube, and it's better and it's more geared towards the creator. But when I jumped on there, the UI on it is just was back then just absolutely atrocious,
and it was slow. I remember Vimeo
so slow.
Was slow.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's the only one I can think of that even comes close to rivaling YouTube. And even then, YouTube is just like a gajillion times bigger and better than what Vimeo is.
And then you've got other stuff coming up like Nebula, and you've got the Linus Tech Tips one, Floatplane. They're really interesting projects. I have a lifetime Nebula subscription because I bought into it early on when they were offering, like a lifetime subscription for, I can't remember how much, it was like $200 or something like that. There's lots of creators on Nebula, but not all of them. And
I'll be honest, I'd never heard of it until now.
If you follow a lot of like tech YouTubers and STEM YouTubers, science, technology, maths, physics, all those kinds of topics, a lot of those guys are on Nebula because it's kind of like one of those. It's centered around this idea of all the creators on there are writing video essays or talking about physics or science or maths or any of these kinds of topics. I guess to be really snooty about it, it's like the intellectual YouTube. It's not like that. Like, it's not snobby at all, but that just happens to be the type of creators that they've attracted and brought into the platform. And then you have Floatplane, which just doesn't have a lot of creators on it. And both of those platforms seem to be working really well for the creators that are on them, but they just can't compete with YouTube. They just don't have the resources to compete in that way.
Which is sad, but it is what it is, and we can only just keep going and hope that one day someone with half a brain gets into YouTube and goes, you know what, let's actually fix this clusterfuck and not focus solely on money.
Yeah.
Because they make shitloads. They make enough. All right. Well, our last topic before we get into some games, because we've got games coming up very shortly, a quiz. We have some tech news. We'll start off with something a little bit somber. If you're an Intel fanboy, which I'm not, because you got me into AMD, and that's it for me now. It's AMD or nothing. So I blame you for that. Intel are laying off 1,300 employees at their Oregon facility in a bid to try and reduce costs. They need to save some money. They have planned 15,000 layoffs, which fucking insane. That's wild. Yeah. According to the local paper, the Oregonian, the 1,300 people are roughly 5% of the workforce in the state. 5% of the entire workforce that's crazy. But Intel are planning to make $10 billion in savings for next year. According to the company, revenue has fallen by roughly 33% since 2021. Which
is a lot. That's a huge loss of revenue for them. So,
especially when if you think about it, the CPUs, it's either Intel or AMD.
Yeah. So here's the interesting part of this. This is just one little blip as part of a bigger trend in tech, which I don't know if you've been aware of it, but there's been, I think it's something like 500,000 jobs have been lost in the tech sector to layoffs in the last 12 or 24 months or something like that. And this one is just another one in a long line of all of these, major tech names like Cisco and Intel just laying off so many people. It's rough. It's a bad time to lose your job with inflation up, interest rates up, everywhere in the Western world. fears of recessions coming back in the US and Australia, and I'm pretty sure Canada and UK as well are concerned. It's really rough to be a part of that industry at the moment. I'm very fortunate to be part of the tech industry, but in such a tiny little niche off to the side here in Australia that my job's pretty safe.
Yeah, yours is quite niche.
Yeah. But yeah, just being a part of one of those companies and getting laid off like this would be really, really tough. And from what I've read, the people being laid off from a lot of these companies are talking about how conditions had degraded a lot over the last 5 years. So even if you're staying on at one of these companies, it's sounding like it's going to be really difficult because you're going to be picking up the slack, at Intel. Losing 15,000 staff members, that's 15% of their total workforce. Every person that leaves, that is another little bit more workload on the remaining staff. For every employee, or every 6 employees, one of them is leaving. And it's just insane the amount of work that is about to get piled onto the remaining staff at all of these companies. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially with the US election and the war in Ukraine and what direction those two things are going to go. Will probably change the course of these kinds of discussions a lot. It'll change the course of history in terms of inflation and interest and whether or not we have another massive global financial downturn and how the tech sector goes over the next 5 years. It all basically comes down to the next 6 months.
Well, you've got...
And what happens?
You say the war in Ukraine, but you've also got China waiting to invade Taiwan, which is a massive one. Because how much tech comes out of Taiwan? How pivotal are they to everything that we do?
So incredibly pivotal. And, Intel, alongside all of these layoffs, they're building fabs in the US to try and add some redundancy to that capability, manufacturing capability that the West relies on so hard. Because if the worst happens and China does invade Taiwan, which if it does, that's World War III, I guarantee it. As just a layman who's just interested in these things, I can't imagine a scenario where China actually invades and takes Taiwan that doesn't result in World War III to some extent.
Well, I think that we all said if Russia invades Ukraine, that's World War III, and that's been going on for a while now and hasn't happened. We said if Israel start bombing Palestine, that's guaranteed World War III. That's
going to be World War III.
That still hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened.
If then they then bomb Lebanon, that's World War III. That still hasn't happened yet. If China invades Taiwan, that's World War III. It still hasn't happened yet. Because I know this is not like fun, nerdy topics that we normally just discuss, but just super quickly, I think I don't know whether World War III is going to happen purely because MADS, mutually assured destruction.
You know what? This current era probably is World War III. We're going to look back at this current era of the war in Israel and Palestine and Iran and whatever the fuck's going to happen there next, and the war in Ukraine and the outcomes of those two things and all of the tensions in the South China Sea and all around the Middle East and all of these kinds of things. It's just one big, long, lukewarm war, right? We're probably going to look back at it one day and just be like, yeah, that was World War III.
Yeah. Because I don't know if they're going to actually launch nukes, because if they do, that's essentially humanity finished. and nobody actually
We'll
wants
see.
that. Yeah.
We'll see if Putin puts his money where his mouth is, which he won't because he's a coward.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Zelensky went, I'm here, this is me, hi. And then Putin went, bye, I'm gone, and ran and hid.
Yep.
Anyway,
chat.
on to some more exciting news. NVIDIA, there are rumors circulating about the new RTX 50 series of graphics cards when they may or may not release. And because I know that computers are your thing, that's where you sort of started in building computers and doing all that sort of stuff. So I feel like we had to put this in here because I enjoy this stuff, but I don't know the ins and outs, whereas you kind of have your finger on the pulse a little bit more than me. The RTX 50 series, how much of a jump do you think this is going to be from the 40s?
I haven't looked into that side of it too much. My expectation from the little that I've read is that it's not going to be much. They're fast approaching the limits of what is just physically possible with current technology. There will need to be a potentially literal quantum leap in the base architectural design of these chips before we will ever see the kind of improvements that we saw 10, 15 years ago from generation to generation. They're going to get more and more specialized every generation. There's going to be more and more hardware built into the chip that is specialized in doing particular things really, really efficiently, and that's where you'll get performance.
So, like in the current series, you got the X3Ds, which are really good for, rendering and stuff like that. Like that's. I think I need to upgrade my system because I want to get into doing game design, and my computer just completely shits itself. Like me going for a 10K run, it just dies in the arse, just stops working and functioning when I open up Unreal Engine and start trying to do stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know I definitely need to upgrade that, and I need to upgrade the CPU because I'm still running and they've got the Ryzen 5 5500 is what I'm running.
So a little bit older and mid-tier. So, I mean, it's fine.
It's adequate.
For what you're going to be using it for, you probably won't use something stronger.
I did notice the other day I launched Dead by Daylight, and it was really just like a frame a second, just on the loading screen. You got some sparks going across from a fire, and that's kind of it. And then it's like, loading everything up, and the sparks would just kind of go along, stop, and then they'd be over here, and it was really, really janky. So I'm like, let's have a look, see what kind of usage I'm getting. CPU was maxed out at 100%.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm just trying to launch. I didn't have anything else open. Nothing in the background. It was just Dead by Daylight. And it had just completely taken my CPU to town. And eventually when it got into the game, it was fine. And the CPU usage dropped down. But I was like, holy shit. And it took a solid 5 minutes to finally load into the game, which is not great, especially this day and age.
No.
But yeah. So definitely an upgrade is most definitely needed. So hopefully this podcast does well and we can look at upgrading some things. Hopefully this does well.
See.
Hopefully the channel does well. Hopefully all of the Vault related projects do well, and then I can start upgrading my computer. Get new CPU, GPU.
Finishing up on that 50 series topic, I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I think I'm most curious to see is just how much they're going to charge for the flagship card. I was talking about it with a friend the other day, and I remember when the GTX 600 series came out, the 680s, I bought one of those on launch day for like $550, and 15 years later, it's $2,000. to buy a card,
Wow.
a flagship card. Like, it's a lot.
That is quite a
Yes.
jump. Yeah, that's a huge jump.
Like, literally 400% increase in the price for a flagship card at launch over the last, something like 12 to 15 years or something like that. I think it's been since the 600 series.
Yeah. So I looked at cards and, I was taken aback with how much they cost.
Power requirements are going to be interesting to see as well, because one of the ways that they've extracted more performance over particularly the last few generations of the RTX cards, has been just massively ramping up the amount of power that they can put through it. There's been a lot of problems with that. So, a new standard called 12-watt high power got introduced to PC power supplies. And I think the last generation, the 40 series, started taking advantage of that, which basically just supports much, much more amps, more current through the 12-volt rails to support the high power consumption of modern GPUs at peak performance. And they've been like melting adapters and melting the power ports on the card.
Jesus.
Because of the amount of power going through them, and like design and manufacturing defects. And it's been a bit controversial. It'll be interesting.
That's wild. So like, you get away with a 800 watt power supply, but soon, if you've got less than 1600 watt power supply, forget about it. It's just
well, that's the really interesting thing, right? Is the 40 series is still, you can put a 40 series card in with a decent CPU and still keep it on like a 600 watt power supply.
Really?
Yeah. 600 to 700 watt or something like that is still going to be like very, very efficient way to go about it with a good 80 plus rating. You're going to be sitting at, max power. You'll be sitting at, maybe 70, 80% loading on the power supply at max power. So you can still get away with keeping a relatively typical power capacity power supply, but you have to get a new one that has support for 12-watt high power to make sure it can deliver enough current directly to the GPU to support that. Melting the connectors and stuff, and destroying cards. You buy a card for $2,000, install it in your computer, and plug it into this adapter that NVIDIA supplies, and then it fucking melts your $2,000 card. People buy cars for that much.
Yeah.
That $2,000 car is going to be great, but you expect it to at least run without catching fire.
Yeah, for
most
sure.
of the time.
And no doubt, if you were to go back and go, hey, it broke, this is what happened, they'd be like, see here in the fine print, it says, buy a new card. We will give you no refund. This is all on you, and we hold no responsibility for any actions taken after purchase.
Yeah, a big problem with, the part of the controversy is that, NVIDIA's been extremely slow to react to all of these reports of melting connectors and adapters and whatnot. So, we'll see. And NVIDIA's never been great on that front of things. So I'll just be watching from the sidelines with my, $1,600 3080 that I bought 2 or 3 years ago to replace my 1080 Ti that died. I'm not upgrading every generation like I used to. So, I'll be watching from the sidelines, fascinated as always.
As will I. Well, I'm running my... What am I running? I don't even know what I'm running.
I can't remember either.
No.
When I helped you build the thing, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah, you did. It's... ROG, what was it? ROG Strix.
That'd be a motherboard.
No, it's the GPU.
Oh, right, yeah.
The Strix. Yeah, I'm reading it. I know
That doesn't narrow it down at all, I got to tell you.
It's an XT. 5,000.
Oh, we got you an AMD GPU, did we?
Yeah. But yeah, one of the reasons why I would also like to upgrade my GPU and CPU is because I am, for many, many, many years, into filmmaking, and I have many plans for films in the future for, another Vault project. But I thought we would do a fun little game, and I have found a whole bunch of movie reviews, user submitted reviews, not critics or anything like that. And I would like, you have not seen these because this is something that I've kept secret from you.
I have not.
Your job here, I have a few of them selected, and your job is to, through the reviews only, guess what the movie is.
For those of you listening at home, I apologize sincerely if this is excruciating for you to listen to me struggle to figure out what movie these are from these reviews, because I'm going to be bad at this.
Probably. But these are all movies. If I was to go, do you know X movie? And you'll be like, oh yeah, I know that movie. I've seen that movie, or I've heard of it at least. There are 7 here that I have highlighted. I've not done all of them because we've got some for the next episode, but we will go through these 7. I am going to start off with these ones down here. Now, these 2, if you don't get them, okay, that's fine. We're warming up. The other one should be a bit easier. We're going to start off hard. Okay. Normally you start off easy and get harder.
Thanks for that.
These ones didn't have a lot of reviews. This one has a singular review that I found. It's a 1 star. You might get this. The 1-star rating simply says, the greatest poopman.
The greatest showman?
Yep. That's the review. The greatest poopman.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you said these were going hard.
Well, I've picked what I thought were the easier ones. Some of them I think are potentially more difficult for you to get because they're just... Okay, some of these reviews are quite unhinged, to say the least, where you go, how does that have anything to do with the movie? Why are you giving it 1 star that has nothing to do with the movie? This one here has 2 reviews. Very similar reviews, different ratings. First one here, we have a 1-star rating, and it just simply says, there isn't any butt stuff. The second rating is a 4-star. This person thought it was okay, but it was lacking butt stuff.
This is really specific, and I have no idea what it is.
That's fair.
God.
Look, if you don't guess what this movie is, that's fair. But I think upon me going his title, you'd be like, of course. But why didn't they have butt stuff? I've not seen it. It is based off of a book, and it became a series of movies based upon a series of books.
I feel like I'm going to know this one for sure. What is it? I can't think of it.
It is the infamous 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh.
They were the two reviews. Very similar.
I thought it might be something like that, where it's a movie that's full of smut.
Yeah.
And it's just like these people taking the piss by saying there was no butt stuff.
Yeah.
Oy.
All right. 1, 2, 3. We got 4 reviews for this particular movie.
Ooh.
Yeah. First one. I'll get through them. You think while I read through them. First one. We have a 5-star. I have an aggressive niece who likes to pick fights at her elementary school, and she even bit one of her classmates last August. As punishment, she had to watch this, and she hasn't even raised a fist since.
Cats?
No. Like I said, some of them, that has nothing to do with the movie whatsoever. Next one is a 4.
But Cats was so bad I would use it as a punishment in that way, yeah.
Yeah. 4 stars. A masterpiece for the modern era. Haha, I'm just joking, but could you imagine?
Oh, God. Okay, keep going.
All right. 1 star. I went to go see this with my ex-husband, his fiance, and their kids. Halfway through the movie, I broke it to him I wouldn't be giving him alimony anymore, and he told me he wishes I'd killed myself.
Okay, that one's really not helpful.
Right? Have you got any other guesses as to what this might be?
The Emoji Movie?
How the fuck do you get that?
It's the only other equally awful movie that I could think of compared to Cats.
The last review that I had for this was just a bad review from Rotten Tomatoes, and it says, I don't think I can say anything funny about this because it makes me want to die.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair reaction to the Emoji Movie, I think.
It is atrocious, and my kids have watched it many times.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, you're banned from ever telling Ollie that it exists. Like, not even just to troll me. That's too cruel.
Yeah, that's understandable. I've gone through it, and yeah, I couldn't do that to you. All right. Next movie. Let's see if you get this one. 2 stars. Absolutely horrified in capitals. I thought it was a claymation movie with lambs. I got it confused with Shaun the Sheep. My 3-year-old hasn't said anything since watching this.
Isn't that Black Sheep movie, is it?
Nope. That was a 2-star, and now a 1-star review. Simply, not a single lamb.
Oof. Oh, I feel like I'm going to know this one as well, but I can't think of it.
It's an older
Is
movie.
it Wallace and Gromit or something, is it?
No.
Or Chicken Run or...
Nope. Not a single lamb. Kind of gives it away a little bit. And I thought it was a claymation movie with lambs.
It is one of Lamb of God's documentaries, is it?
It's Philadelphia. No, it is...
I think I know this. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yep.
You're going to have to tell me.
Starring Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins. Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, yeah, Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, of course. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I could see it was right there. All right, we have a singular review for this movie. 1 star. At this point, we must assume character either loves captivity or he's an attention-seeking whore. I don't expect you to be able to get this from this one particular review, but it's the only one I found. And I mean, it was so funny.
It's specific enough that I feel like I should be able to get it. It isn't Passengers, is it?
No, not Passengers.
Yeah, what is it?
This one is Free Willy 4.
What the fuck, man?
Actually, you know what? I'm going to throw in one because it's a little bit similar to the last one. So I will throw this in as number 8. A 1-star review. The only one I've got just says, I'm beginning to think he's just a bad parent.
Ooh. Oh, what's that? Hang on. Let me just look up a particular person's filmography. It isn't After Earth, is it?
No.
Pursuit of Happiness?
No.
It isn't Jaden Smith.
No, it's not Jaden Smith.
Damn.
How would Jaden Smith be a bad parent?
No, like Will Smith.
Yeah, it's fair. No, the main actor in this,
Jaden Smith was in.
They're talking about the lead actor who is. I'm basically going to give it away here. I think I've never seen the movie, but I think it's Liam Neeson.
Oh, Taken.
Now, which one is it?
How many are there? Whatever the last one was. Like 4?
Close. It's
4 or 5?
It is Taken 3.
Taken 3, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I think it's a bad parent. All right. We have a movie here we got 2 reviews. A couple of 1 stars. It's hard to believe that a hotel that size in Colorado would close in the winter with all the skiing business.
That is so weirdly specific.
Yeah. It is
isn't
quite
like
specific.
a horror movie like Hostel or something like that I wouldn't have seen, right?
You are on the right track. It is a horror movie.
Ooh.
You 100% know it. The second one, Jack is rude. The dude is just rude throughout the movie. 1 star.
Oh, I'm really annoyed that I can't think of the name of this now. The Stephen King one.
Correct. I can see that you know it too.
Oh, what's the movie called?
I'll give you a hint. It is the same as the book.
Yeah, I know that. The Shining.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last one.
Okay.
And then we are finished. 1 star.
Okay.
Switching from a system of exploiting children's screams to exploiting children's laughter does not make you good guys. You are still exploiting child labor.
Monsters, Inc.
Ethical capitalism doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's Monsters, Inc. That's too easy.
1 star. And the other 1 star review is Too Many Monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were the 2 reviews for Monsters Inc.
Yeah, something tells me they missed the premise of that movie.
Yeah.
They just walked into the cinema without reading the title.
Yeah. Yeah, they really did. All right, well, that brings us to the end of our inaugural debut episode of this shit show of a podcast. So going forward, we're going to be doing a movie review at the end of each episode, and we will be taking suggestions. If you have a suggestion, jump over to the Discord. Again, links will be wherever the descriptions are. You can hit us up there. You can send us an email. You can hit us up on social media. You'll find everything where the description is, and send us your movie suggestions for us to watch and review. The first one we are going to be doing is Children of Men. That review will be coming in the next episode.
One of the best movies ever. IMO. It's a big thing to say, but I think it is one of those.
That's huge.
Greats.
To say it's one of the best movies ever made in the history of movie creation, that's huge.
It's up there. It's like, definitely making the top 100.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen it, so I'm keen to watch it, and then we will review it from point of amateur filmmakers that have never actually made anything that is of quality. We've done a few things, but nothing's been like, oh shit, that's really good. Actually, we did good on that. It's just like, yep, that's a thing.
Yep.
But we might get back into filmmaking next year, because I still want to do the one that we were going to be doing at the start of this year, and we never did.
Yeah, we should get on that.
100%. Yeah, I got to come down and location scout with you. But that is a topic for another discussion. That's it. We're done. We're out of here. My name is Tommy.
I am Vincent.
This is the Nerd Vault podcast, name pending, and we will talk to you in the next episode.